We are on our way to the
Make a U-turn and then turn right. Turn right.
We are on our way to the Jeep, or the pink Jeep adventure here in Sedona, and we just
In
crossed
half a mile, turn left.
and we just crossed the creek to get there.
Welcome to another episode of Rambling with Phil. As you have heard, we are headed for our pink Jeep tour on the Broken Arrow Trail. Our driver was very informative and gave us a lot of information about the area, so don't forget to pay attention and watch to the end to see all the fun and excitement.
Oh, there's the pink Jeep.
Yep.
We're headed to the pink Jeep tours, and here's one coming in right now. Remember to wear your mask. Wow, I didn't realize that these pigs had prickly things coming out of their back. I don't know. Hi, Rolina. And in case you're wondering, they do have a gift shop.
This secluded little area of Sedona we're going to is a pretty well-kept secret, unless you're really the outdoor type. It's called the Broken Arrow. We're going to drive through the Broken Arrow subdivision to get on the Broken Arrow Trail. We're going to get some incredible photographs being a morning tour. It's kind of interesting. Every year, the Forest Service, in cooperation with a bunch of other outlets, online surveys and restaurant concierges and first responders and people that just answer questionnaires about what you did while you're in Sedona and where you went and did you rent a Jeep, did you hike, yada yada yada, right? There's a Seinfeld reference for you guys.
Got it. How succinct.
Every year, the results are pretty similar. What they say is that 75% or more of the people that come to Sedona are content to walk around in the uptown area where I picked you up. Buy a t-shirt, have a beer, and leave and say, we saw Sedona, meaning that fewer than 1 out of 4 get out into the wilderness areas like we're going. So you're going to get some photographs that you will be able to show your friends. You're going to go, well, we went to Sedona, we didn't see that. That's because you never left uptown. So it's a pretty small town. It's 4 miles from one end of town to the other. In that 4-mile radius there are only about 10,000 of us that live here all year long. 2018 and 2019, on an ever-ascending scale, were the first years that we surpassed 3 million visitors. So even with COVID, we're going to be up around 2.4 million by the time they release all the numbers. Simply because Northern Arizona really didn't close. I mean, the restaurants did take out, the movie theaters were closed, but everything else was open. So in a tourist town like this, there were always people here. All right, well, that completes the tour. Did you guys have fun?
Awesome.
It was so short, but man, we rocked it.
Woohoo!
So going back to the 50s, 1959 actually, when the Pratts first came up here, there were about 500 people that lived here, and this was the only paved road, 179. Everything else was dirt. So Don's plan was to get people in his 2 Jeeps that he and his wife drove, and drive people, all over Sedona in the hopes that they would just throw money at him, like we want this property and that property. Well, it didn't exactly go as planned. Don and his wife were driving people all over Sedona only to have people exit the Jeeps and go, thanks so much, man. Here's a couple of dollars for the ride and everything, but you know what? We're not going to buy any property. We can't live up here. There are no roads. There's one school. Oh, there's a little quickie mart, a gas station, and a film store, and a couple of hotels. We can't live here. Thanks a lot. So as time went on, more and more people were getting in Don's Jeeps and prefacing their statement with, Don, we heard about what a great Jeep ride this is, and we want to let you know right off the top, we're not interested in buying any land. We just want you to drive us around. So Don and his wife, after hearing this for about 6 months and selling exactly 0 properties, went back to the drawing board and figured that maybe they were missing a real financial opportunity here, and they changed the name of their company to Jeep Tours Incorporated, and they started focusing on just giving Jeep tours. And before they knew it, the money was rolling in at a rate that far exceeded any type of real estate commission they would have made. And after about 6 months of doing that and working really hard, they thought, well, you know what, we've earned a vacation. And taking a vacation to our all-time destination of Hawaii would be as easy as hiring a couple of people, teaching them to do what we do, and trusting them enough so that we can go on vacation for a couple of weeks. Which is exactly what they did. They hired a couple of people, trained them, and they went to Hawaii. They went to the island of Oahu, and they stayed in a hotel called the Royal Hawaiian, where coincidentally everything on that property is painted what color?
Pink.
Pink. So when you checked into your room, you found out the bathroom was pink, and the kitchen, and the towels, and the slippers. Everything was pink. You went out in the back, and you saw the pool and the jacuzzi were pink. Then you went out in the front to find out that they had 3 golf carts lined up, all of which were painted pink. And the hotel used these to transport and whisk people from the property wherever they wanted to go as part of the hotel concierge service. Well, the Pratts, while they are in Hawaii, are noticing that almost all of the citizens there that live in Oahu see the pink golf carts and know immediately that they belong to the hotel. And a light went off in their head about how people were bringing color with the business. So they sat down and they thought about it while they were there, and they made the decision that upon their return to Sedona, they would paint the 2 Jeeps pink and rename their company Pink Jeep Tours. That was 1960. Now I just noticed, I just want to give you just a little bit of caution. Is that a cast?
Yeah, no.
Oh, I'm just saying, when we're driving, be really careful, because if your arm can go up and down, you can lose your camera. I mean, feel free, I'm just giving you that.
I got a strap on it too.
Okay, there you go. So the Forest Service put this little berm in right here to let you know that if your vehicle won't make it over this, you should turn around right now. And over here, this lot is usually full of people that like to come out and hike. But this is all public. And I'll finish the story here by giving you this little bit of preface information. We are the only company that's allowed to drive back here, but by virtue of the permits that we are issued by the Forest Service, we share this with John Q. Public. So if you want to come out here with your Jeep or your truck or your van or your motorcycle or your mountain bike or your hiking boots, you can. It's all free. That's one of the advantages of the U.S. Forest Service, is that everything is free. So go back to the story for a minute here. Now Don is now driving people around, and he starts driving around back here, and he realizes that the movie that was filmed back here in Technicolor in 1956 called The Broken Arrow with Jimmy Stewart, big Western, he realized that the Forest Service had given the movie company permits to come back here and hack away at this area back here to get to areas where they could film on location. And Don thought, you know what, I can make all of these into a trail. He went back to the Forest Service, the story goes, and he said he made a proposition to the Forest Service. He said, if you guys will let me come back into this area and take all of the movie crew little roads that go nowhere and hack out a trail, I will do that for free. In return, all that I ask is that my little Jeep company be the only company. The Forest Service went back to the drawing table and thought about it and said, well, this guy's willing to do all the work, we'll just supervise a little. And they told him yes. So that was 1960. So as a result, we are the longest continuously operating Jeep touring company in the United States at 61 years, and we are the only company that can drive this trail. You guys ready?
Yep.
All right, here we go.
Whoa.
Feel free to swear. I just let you know, I don't like to swear until somebody in the Jeep breaks the ice, so let it fly. It's our tour. We're all old friends here.
You know what you're doing, right?
Yep.
First day, how am I doing?
What?
Just first day?
Yeah, pretty good for an amateur.
That's right, it only gets worse.
Yay!
Optimism. Sell them on optimism.
Good thing I got my seatbelt on.
That's right. Cinch that sucker up tight.
Oh yeah, I did that as soon as I got in.
Kill him with kindness and convince him with optimism. P.T. Barnum. So here it is, the end of winter, and look how green everything is. That's because 95% of the tree species out here are what we call evergreens. They have needles and fingers, meaning they're not deciduous. They do not have leaves that fall. So these trees, all evergreens, we have the pinon pine, which is easily discernible by the needles. That's a pine tree. The other two are the Utah juniper and the Arizona cypress, and they have little fingers on them. But the point being, they don't have leaves. This is a cypress tree. Did you see how it has little fingers? The juniper is a little bit darker and has a blue berry on it that we use as the main ingredient in the distillation of gin. So these three trees are green all year long. Thus the name evergreen, and that's why none of these trees have had leaves that fall. Somebody will go, yeah, what about that one? You go, well, that one's dead. So are you guys staying up here in Sedona?
For a couple days.
Where are you?
We're in Orson Welles' house.
Nice.
The local Diablo resort on the creek.
Little VRBO?
Yep.
Very nice.
We didn't know it was Orson Welles' house till we went to the bathroom.
And then what happened there?
They have a sign that says this was the first occupant of the house was Orson Welles.
Whoa! War of the Worlds.
Yeah. So go to the bathroom and learn something new.
Well, that's what they say. That's why some of our most serious reading is done in the bathroom.
Yeah.
People magazine, you know.
A framed picture of Orson Welles.
Does he fit in it?
Yes.
He was a large man.
Yeah.
So has everybody here been to Sedona before?
No.
I'm the only one who's been here, and I've been trying to get my family here ever since.
This is no worse than my driving.
So far, so good?
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of limited by what the trail allows me to do. I mean, it's pretty sloshed up right now. But later in the day, it's going to be snowing back here. So the forecast is for 100% snow. It might even start walking back here. So people will ask, do you guys drive in the rain? Oh, yeah, and I forgot to put ponchos with you. And we drive in the snow. There are only two road conditions that actually will send us home or keep us off the trail. The first one is lightning. The second one is ice. No matter how efficient you are at driving these vehicles, you cannot negotiate ice. And I say that because in the 60 years we've been in business, we have 80 plus Jeeps in our fleet here, and all 80 of them have approximately $25,000 worth of aftermarket suspension products that allows them to do this, and they still break. And even with that, you can't control them on ice. They go wherever they want. 72 is inbound on the lane. 72 is inbound. So the radios are our lifeline. We use them to communicate with other Pink Jeep drivers who alert us to where they are, where they're when they're coming at us, and the whereabouts of public vehicles. So this is our trail. Don built it, we maintain it, and we are the stewards of it. So you'll notice from time to time you'll see pullouts. That's so the smaller group of vehicles can pull off for the larger, because this is what we call an eye of the needle trail. One way in big loop, one way out. Don't forget, this is your tour. If you guys have any questions at all, fire away. Doesn't matter. We'll talk about anything, all right? Just throwing it out there. So by Jeep rules, not having anything to do with the city of Sedona, we're required to wear our seatbelts the whole time and to keep our masks on until we get out of the Jeep and start taking pictures.
We like to travel. We like to go places and do
Yeah,
things.
well, no, it's
If I
when in
have to wear
Rome.
my mask to do it, then so do it.
All right, y'all ready?
Yep. Yes. So that if we fall, I'm gonna be the first one to hit the ground.
Much. All right, let's give her one more try before I ask everybody to get out, okay?
Get down! Get out of the way!
That's why all this other shit happens.
Yeah.
All right, let's give her another try. Ready?
74 in on the lane, 74 in.
All right.
Woo! Awesome.
How'd you feel, Mom? You have any drink after that?
We-
Not a problem.
We got a good.
I have tequila.
We have a good driver.
Isn't that what you always say?
Typically, that's an easy little crawl up.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing new there.
All right, let's get out as we walk around. Let's keep our eyes on our toes and let's walk up to the top.
Basically, Sedona is big piles of rusted beach sand. And every grain of sand here is coated in iron oxide or rust. The reason I show you this is anytime you can pick something off the ground that sounds like rock and then you break it with your hands, it's not rock. So everything here in Sedona we're standing on, that the cliffs are made out of, and the plants are growing out of is this, beach sand. And it's all here because of tectonic plate movement. You guys remember a couple things can happen. First one is they connect and rub, you get earthquakes. When they hit and push up, you get mountains. And what happened here is one plate slid under the other and it pushed the other plate up in the air. That caused an ancient sea that was here, shallow sea, to recede and return. And every time it returned, it brought back another layer of sand coated in rust from the ocean floor. Repeat that process over 285 million years, and you have Sedona. No matter where you are, when you look up at the cliffs, all you see are horizontal lines. And each horizontal line is representative of another time that the ocean returned and deposited more sand on top of the layer below it. Now, one last thing, that theory is put into effect by a layer of limestone up there that's caught in the middle called the Fort Apache layer of limestone. So let's call that my finger. It looks like this. That layer was the beach. And we'll see it at our second stop when we get out. And that layer has seashells in it. So it's almost 5,000 feet, almost a mile above the ocean, and we're finding seashells in the sandstone.
Wow.
And that is what the result is. So once again, Sedona, huge piles of rusted beach sand left behind by an ancient ocean. It's kind of cool. So you can break that from hand. Just give it a shot.
Learning about a lot of mountains, how
Yeah.
rocks form, kind of stuff.
So you can break it. See that? Now obviously it just rained and it's wet, but this is very malleable and it soaks up the water. So even though this is harder, it's still just sand. So my channel is, if anybody's interested, mine's called, what is yours called?
Rambling with Phil.
Rambling? I like it. I'll subscribe.
What's
Rambling with Phil. Mine's called Captain Deluxe. And what it is a collection of about 55 videos, all of which center around archaeological Native American sites here in Sedona.
Wow.
So for a lot of people that come to Sedona, they're unaware of the fact that Sedona has about 8,000 years of Native American history.
Huh.
You know, the history books teach about European influence.
Yeah.
Settlers have been here since 1879. Native American influence when you go back to the Anasazi and the Hohokam and the Hopi and the Sinawa, and finishing up with the Yavapai Apache. This goes back about 8,000 years. So they lived here for a very, very long time. So here's a question for you. If you're a group of people anywhere on the planet and you're going back in time, and these are migratory peoples who are constantly in search of the perfect place to live, what's the number one thing you have to have? Water. You have to have water. So the geology of this area shows that water was here in abundance in all of these creeks. Everything was much more green with much more rainfall up until about 1620, 1625, when the geology and the weather in this area just changed, as the Earth has a habit of doing. So when that happened, most of the natives moved because over a period of time they had become agricultural. They had traded for and grew plants from the following seeds acquired in trade: peaches, apples, pumpkin, squash, beets, beans, and most importantly, cotton and corn. So prior to that, they learned to be resourceful, and they continued this behavior throughout their whole time here, realizing that a lot of these plants were the key to success with food, medicine, clothing. So pretty neat, I think, you know, and a lot of guides do this stuff differently, but I feel it's really worthy of bringing to people's attention that, you know, history doesn't start with our history books.
Yeah.
So 8,000 years. This is called the banana yucca or banana yucca. Can you guys see the little threads coming off the stalks?
Yeah.
In the summertime, when this plant has more moisture in it, you can pull those threads off one at a time. They got about 30 a stalk, and they are as resilient and tough as dental floss. So the Native Americans here learned that they could braid that into rope and string. And it was also one of the major ingredients in their making clothing. They grew cotton. And we know this because there's proof of it. When you go down into some of these archaeological digs, pieces of clothing that are close to 500 years old have been pulled out of the ground, and the DNA taken right back to that plant and cotton.
Like over the top.
I like it. Call and response on the woo-woo. 72 is up to the point. 72 up. As soon as this guy comes down.
I'll meet you at the Juniper.
Sounds good. I'm letting a single private pass me here.
up here is called Chicken Point. And see the two spires that I pointed out earlier? The nuns. They're called the nuns because on the other side is the Chapel of the Holy Cross. Have you guys been there?
Oh, not yet.
We're driving, but we haven't been any closer than.
Yeah, now that church is kind of interesting because the agreement between the Forest Service and the contractor was that they could build the church on that property because it was privately owned. But in doing so, they were not to disrupt the sandstone. That's what makes it an archaeological marvel, is that they built, or an architectural marvel, excuse me, they built around the existing sandstone without disturbing the landscape. Now, back in the 60s, services were held there, but since the church only holds about 50 people now, it's just open for walkthroughs. Now, this is called Chicken Point because in the early days of Pink Jeep, going back to about 1960 to about 1980, drivers went out to that point, and if they did not, they were a chicken. Thanks, Rick. If they didn't do it, they were called a chicken. So the Forest Service got wind of this, and they came out here and watched, and videotaped, and made drawings and took pictures. And after about 6 months, they came to a decision that the name Chicken Point was stayed because it was appropriate. But they also ruled at that point in time that from then on,
coming down from Yogi. 2 lasers coming down from Yogi.
from that point in time, no one else would be allowed to do it anymore. So the Forest Service...
69 coming down. 69 down.
72 is almost up. 70, can you hold him? I'm almost up. So we're gonna walk out there and take some pictures. Here we go. You guys ready? Yep. See if we get a little more slide up here as well.
Let's go on coming up. Yogi in the short.
You see where those people are out there? The Jeeps used to drive out to that rock.
Coming around the corner.
Not much room to turn around over
No,
there.
not since, we have more and more visitors up here, and the Jeeps have become substantially larger. So the Forest Service for about almost 40 years now has said, we're not doing that anymore. We're not allowing people to do that. For which I am thankful. Why? Could you come out so we can get a picture?
Man, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, we're all trained to drive this the same way. I've been here doing this for about 3 years, and we have guides that are brand new, and we have guides that have been doing it for 15 years. And we all drive at the same speed, at the same stops. Let's go up here. Ready? Oh, we will. So if you look over here, those are the nuns, or the sisters. And people say, well, do the other rocks around here have names? And these three over here at the right do. The first one there is the sleeping whale. You see him? See his eye? How it's closed? And his snout? And right behind that is UFO rock. And sitting on top of that is mushroom rock. So let's go over there. Now it's called mushroom rock for 2 reasons. One, you look at it, kind of looks like a mushroom. 2, we're going to go up there and drive around, and I think you guys will agree with me that there's not, there's not mushroom up there to drive around. Oh, you just really tell us that. over there, Joanna. We close to the edge?
Alright.
About what, 6 or 7 inches?
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah, a couple inches.
We could put a whole other piece.
All right, now we're going to get higher than this, but look, there's submarine rock.
Oh,
Oh,
there
yeah.
it is.
Yep.
So that's where we were.
And of course, out there looking into uptown with the sandstone cliffs in the background. Check here, windshield wipers, blinkers, knuckles. You guys ready?
Yep.
Great. You guys ready to help me? 1, 3, we're gonna rock. 1, 2, 3. One more ought to get it. 1, 2, 3. Oh, there we go. It doesn't get stuck very often, but when it does, we can rock it free. Titanic, ready? Jack! Jack! Remember that scene? You gotta let me go, Rose.
I'm not watching it. We're watching it. No, we're not. We're not watching Titanic.
Why not? It was pretty entertaining. Right, here's our 200 feet higher. Look at that. Now remember when we were over there, I said look over, it doesn't appear as though we're higher over here, but here's the proof is in the pudding. Look at that.
Yeah.
You can see the pink Jeeps down there where we parked. Now we've touched on this before, but what goes up must come down. So we're getting ready to do this little part of the tour here that's called the Devil's Staircase. Everybody move, ready? Now the Jeep is going to go down at about a 45-degree angle, and it's going to slide pretty good because it's wet. It's going to pitch and sway, but we'll get down. We drivers like to refer to this part of the trail as the road of no return. Because once you start down, you are not backing up.
Well, we were on the road to nowhere
That's right.
last summer.
Where is that?
It's in North Carolina,
Where does it go?
near Bryson City. It goes nowhere.
Was it originally built
It
out
was-
towards a town or something?
Yeah, it was supposed to go around, I think it was supposed to go around Bryson City,
Uh-huh.
but then they ran out of Well, there were environmental issues supposedly, and it stopped the road, and then it just, after that, they just gave up on it.
Oh yeah. Look at that. Just sliding, basically.
Yeah. It's like on the playground. Except for...
Kind of similar, except we're in a pink Jeep.
Yeah.
Is there anybody behind us? Normally, if there is, we would sit here and watch for him. Let's give it a minute.
Oh man, is he gonna make it?
I don't see why not.
Yeah.
And this guy, the same thing. He's probably a hiker. And that's why little cars like this won't get over that first bump. Remember when we first came in?
Yeah.
And they said the Forest Service put that there to deter people? The guy would bottom out.
Hope you enjoyed watching this episode of Rambling with Phil, where we went on the Pink Jeep tour in Sedona. Our driver was really awesome and we really enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and don't forget to ring that bell to be notified of any new videos as they come out.